Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is March 4th. It's Monday. You're listening and watching the Daily AI Show live. And today we have a fun conversation. It's what if AI software made hardware? And that may sound odd or interesting, but we're going to dive into it today. We'll explain everything. Today we got Jyunmi, Beth, Robert, Andy, and I'm Brian. And we're going to kind of dive into a X or Twitter. I know at one point we're going to have to all agree just to go with one of them, right? But I feel like, what do you guys think at this point? Do you just say X, or do you actually still say formerly Twitter, or do you just say one or the other of them? What do you guys
say? X, but I say tweet, right? Because it's
tweet. Yeah, it's still a tweet. Yeah. Anyway,
point.
Which one do you do, Jimmy?
Oh, I still use Twitter unless I remind myself to use X. I'm sure in 2 or 3, 4 years I'll finally start saying X.
We'll finally start saying X and they'll revert back to Twitter. They will.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They're going to screw us like that.
I always like using a full version behind in Windows. I'll just do the same thing for Twitter.
That's right.
X,
that's why I only use Windows 7. Windows X. Lucas Crespo, Crespo. That's who we're referring to today. I don't know Lucas, but he put out a cool post that we can certainly share, but it would probably be faster for you to go on to X and find it. And it just said, what if software products did hardware? An exploration. And then in the following tweets in the thread, I guess it would be after that. I'm not a big Twitter user, so I don't know all the terminology, but in the thread underneath it, he kind of gets into some other ideas. And we can kind of dive into those. And then I did not come up with these on my own. I went into ChatGPT and I was like, hey, here are some suggestions. What are some other cool ideas about that? And so ChatGPT helped me come up with some other cool ideas that we can talk about. But I don't know, Beth, do you want to kind of kick this off as far as like what Lucas did? We could always share the screen as well, which could be handy.
Sure. I think sharing the screen would be great. Okay. Lucas Crespo, this is his personal website. He's actually part of the Every company. And so he's a visual designer who does amazing things. And I don't have it pulled up with one of you who does share your screen. Basically what he was doing was looking at like software brands, like super branded kinds of things. And the one that really catches our eye is this Zoom booth, because nobody uses phone booths anymore, but many of us remember them. And the idea behind this was like, what if you are, somewhere and you need to take a private Zoom call? This would be a soundproof, right, branded Zoom thing, and it looked totally brilliant. Do we want to go down a little bit more?
Yeah, we can. I thought maybe like as far as this Zoom booth, first of all, I don't know if the AI on this image is so good or if Lucas did this himself, but like the image is really, really like a lot of these images.
Wait, that's
really
not real?
No.
I'm guessing not because of the other images he has on here, but they're very well done because I would not know that wasn't, other than it's a weird location where it's sitting. I would not know that wasn't real myself.
This is what he does. Like he makes these images for real. He does a bunch of things, but he is a designer who does this kind of work. So
he's got skills.
So like, yay, Lucas, thank you. You've like inflamed our imaginations and we're totally impressed.
For sure.
And like, yes, this would be an awesome idea.
I mean, it kind of exists already in like WeWorks and stuff, right? Where they have sort of the isolation, I don't know, call them isolation booth, but where they have the booths where you can go in and just get like a quiet space to take a video call. I know a lot of my coworkers jump into those all the time, and I have clients that do it as well. And you can always tell because of the background or whatever. But it's better than trying to sit at a noisy desk or something like that. So I see these maybe, and they kind of do exist, but airports. I just spent some time in airports last week.
I actually have seen them in airports. Not
this in the Delta one. Sorry, they do have this in the Delta Sky Club. Some of them do. There's like a whole bank of these little booths. But here's the thing. I guess it's not necessarily Zoom specific. It's any type of call, in my opinion, because I'm in the Sky Club a lot. I just wish everybody had their own booth because I'm tired of people having a business call. They think they're so important and they're just talking like, I'm the so-and-so of so-and-so and sales and this, that, and the other market strategy. And they're all like talking like we give a crap and like they're important and they're not, and they're just loud. So I'm sorry, that's my soapbox for the moment. But these are great for like the whole Sky Club should be full of those, in my opinion. But
so a true isolation booth to have your calls.
Are there examples down below there that actually involve AI?
Yeah, I think so. We can move on here. I don't know. Well, yes, they do, because I can tell the one below this does.
Yeah.
The next one we're showing on here was the idea of, I'm just going to read what Lucas said. Airlocks. Airbnb hosts can install a smart lock that only opens with the guest Airbnb app. Now, this again is sort of a one-off of an idea that kind of exists. We already have smart locks. I don't know that Lucas's point was necessarily to say this is new and innovative in the way that it has never existed before, but more to the point to say like, hey, you got a company like Airbnb who already has a vested interest in this. What if they already paired with one of the smart lock companies and put out an airlock, which, was more integrated with the Airbnb software system, right. which totally makes sense to me. I've only used Airbnbs. I've never been a host of, or run one myself, but I do know that there's just a lot of issues that come up, not only with, quickly having to change locks and things like that, but you can imagine as the host, how valuable it would be to quickly be able to digitally and from afar change locks if people had to be out of a space or whatever the case may be. So, and also obviously from the user standpoint as well. So it's a cool idea.
Can we make a positioning question right now? Can we make this, everybody kind of vote in here? Would it be easier for a tech company to explore hardware or for a hardware company to explore software? Like, because right now you made the interesting connection, and my thought was like, well, that's not their game. There's no way they can be a tech company or a hardware company because they're really too much involved in this side. If they started being a solution to their Airbnbs or whatever, then they would be responsible for crap hitting the fan and not working right. And they're not built for that. Right. So my question then is, organizations that are traditionally a software organization, their built infrastructure support is a certain way. When they start doing hardware, that's supply chain, that's manufacturing cost. It's a whole different ecosystem.
So I think we're taking this a little too literally, because I think that this would be like partnering with the existing hardware to create a branded version of that.
That's what I think too.
This is a brand play here, and the partnerships would happen. Zoom is not likely to be able to maintain the Zoom booths, but they would benefit from the branding and let's call it the alignment with their platform for video conferences, as opposed to having the person who built those booths making it available for Google Teams and so on. But, so they'd have to make an investment. They'd have to make an investment, and they'd have to support that hardware partner. But they would benefit from the fact that they get their brand out there, in real space, as opposed to just in virtual space.
And the other play at least for the Zoom booth is, so I have a Zoom account, so I would be able to go in and log in and do my thing. But if you don't, it's a phone booth now, right? Like you don't have to sign up for the whole thing. You're just putting, I don't know, stick your credit card in, just $5 for the meeting or whatever it is, right? Like there's a play for broader engagement. But yes, this window was all right, the Zoom booth was very cool, but I looked at this and was like, I want this window.
So let's explain what it is for anybody just listening along. It's called Weather Windows. I mean, it's what Lucas called it. Weather app UI can be minimally displayed over glass. So again, we know that this technology exists currently. We've seen, the higher end hotels where, I always think it's silly, but like the TV is behind the mirror inside the bathroom or whatever. And it's like, oh, you can watch TV while you're brushing your teeth. I don't know why you need that, but like it exists. We know that kind of exists. So this idea of like overlaying a near transparent, and of course we just saw it at CES, they had the transparent OLED displays or whatever it was. So all of that technology kind of exists to this idea of, you know, what they're showing is just it's a window out looking out on a cityscape, and it's saying what the Boston weather is overlaid over the top of it. Do you need it? No. Like, could it be cool if it exists? Sure. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if I was in a location that had this. Do I need it? Can I look down at my phone just as quickly? Yeah, sure, I could. Yeah.
But does
So I
it
don't know what you
save
guys
you a
think of something
step?
like this.
I realize, like, now I'm I used to be upset about clicks. Now apparently I'm upset about, like, but I have to swipe with my thumb once. But okay.
Well, I think as soon as the OLED manufacturing process becomes as quick as they promised when they first introduced the technology. Essentially, OLED is printed, right? It's painted on whatever the substrate is. So this is very, very close. This is not, you know, like you said, the tech is there. As soon as DuPont or Corning, whoever's making the glass, combines with a OLED manufacturer, then they can just start selling the windows pre-made.
Yeah,
And
I just saw something yesterday, which is a laptop that has a transparent screen. So
Yeah.
the fold-up
Yeah.
screen is transparent, and the pressing question was, why would anyone want that?
Right. Yeah, who's this for?
Behind the screen. But here's the
Yeah, for
application.
presentations is the only thing I could think of with that one. But yeah, that was like, who's that for? You know, I'll go one more on Jyunmi. This, I'm going to go into the sci-fi on this a little bit. But okay, same technology as we're looking on the window, but I don't know what AI company it would be. Geez, but take this one step further. Okay, it's a sunny day here in Tampa right now. I'm facing literally behind you guys, digitally behind you guys. What I'm facing are two windows, and it's a bright sunny day out. It's a beautiful day in Tampa, whatever. But what if it was that Boston overcast that we're seeing, and now instead of just showing me the weather, I'm like, you know what? It's a gloomy day outside in the middle of the winter. Can I just see a sunny day?
Oh yeah.
And then my windows
Absolutely.
just brighten everything up and overlay and maybe put a sun in the upper right corner. And I'm like, man, I'm really feeling better about my day. Even though it's crap weather outside, I can change my windows to get a better out view. I mean, this stuff kind of exists, right? You could do the fake windows these days and dark basements and the whole thing. But I think that's where I would love
not
to see
only
it.
just a generated one, but could be your window from home. Yeah.
Oh yeah, even better. I like that even better. Yeah, if you're homesick, good call on that one. Yeah, show me my view out my window. It's your view out your window from your house. I like it. Okay, so we'll run through a couple of this because I do have some that I think we all kind of came up with outside this, but we have Spotify.
But can we focus on AI related? Because I'm seeing lots of stuff that's not AI. It's just cool tech, but it's not AI.
Okay, Midjourney. How about that one? That's AI for sure. So Midjourney frames. What if you could prompt the vibes of your living room? So this is a very trippy thing. I'm not going to leave that on the screen because it's crazy. But the idea is that it's like the Midjourney one was like it was a digital frame in your house, and you could make Midjourney art into that digital frame, which is actually a cool idea. I mean, I love getting the magazine every month. It'd be cool to see some of those like curated pieces out of the magazine up on a 4x4 or something like that on the wall.
That's actually a good segue because I'm working with a couple of brands that are very high in the art industry, and every time I work with them, I'm like, man, are you preparing for AI? Because they basically their model is that they're art galleries, and they as a franchise. Some of them are photography galleries as a franchise, two different brands, and so I'm wondering, like, have you thought ahead because Midjourney is creating some great stuff. I love the idea. I would love it if I had a big, huge frame like you just showed. And I was like, I want a beach scene, like you just said with the window, but AI generated in ocean, or maybe I want a mountain scene. That's obviously pretty easy to get these days just from stock images, but curating it yourself and having it on demand without any cost, maybe in the style of Picasso. I don't know. It just something about art. I'm really worried about those people that are producing it. And, but I know that's a separate conversation, but would Midjourney actually make this device in your heads, guys? Or would they make this? Is that a play for them? Is that a logical play for them?
I don't think it's a logical play. I think it goes back to the whole brand partnership and things like that. I think most software companies, unless I'd say the closest one that we've seen so far is the Airbnb, right? They could just outright buy a smart lock company and then, it wouldn't necessarily be a brand partnership, but it's like, oh, we've bought the entire supply chain. We've bought the entire manufacturing process. And then we're just, we're tying in our software into that hardware. But I think
But why
most
do
of
you
these,
need
like
to?
said, what's
Right?
that?
Why do you need to?
You don't,
Can't you just
but
partner? I mean,
yeah.
you're
Well,
Airbnb.
because
You
you're vertically integrated and you're guaranteeing more margin. It's a smart
Yeah.
play. If you have the money, sure, buy them out. I mean, it's smart. Apple does it all the time. Buys
Yeah.
out big
But
tech
then
and
you
then
have to
integrates
manage
it.
them. Then
Well, you
they're
just
So I
keep
think
it
this
siloed.
anyway.
Midjourney one here.
Midjourney is an interesting question about whether they do that because they're not a typical corporation.
No, they're
And
not.
That's
Yeah.
true. They might just do it for the lulz. You're right.
Well, they'd either do it for the lulz or they wouldn't because they don't want to, right? Like,
Yeah, they're
like
very quirky. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
them for that
But
reason.
what's
Yeah.
cool about Midjourney is that if I could be in my house, to your point, Robert, I think you kind of make a good point. This is definitely an AI play of this. I mean, Midjourney is already an AI company, but to your point, like, oh, a hardware AI play. If I'm just in my house and I turn to the speaker of the house, right? Like the speaker of the house, that sounds silly, but you know what I'm talking about, Echo, right? I don't want to say her name. And I was like, I'm in such and such a mood. Can you create me? Can you change the vibe or that the house or whatever, and maybe the 4 or 5 places I have this in the house to be, graphic street art that I would find in Berlin or something like that, and then it goes off to Midjourney. Midjourney creates a series of images and then displays them on 4 or 5 different, frames around my house that kind of collectively go together.
Yeah,
as
that'd
a
be cool.
series.
Yeah.
That would be super cool.
Yeah. But where I go with my brain when this topic comes up, not to segue too much, but is, we have the human AI pen, which is a cool concept we should talk about again. And we have the rabbit, device that's coming out. We have the glasses. These are a hardware that's integrating AI. With chicken before the egg, who knows? One was the hardware that integrates existing AI. Some is the AI that made the device second. Who knows? But my question really to the topic of today, which I'm really curious what we all think, is when are we going to leap to the robotic play? When are we going to leap to the actual real world implementer? Like Elon did with he was already doing the bots or the Optimus kind of situation. But at what point are these AI companies, is OpenAI specifically, let's just go ahead and use them, are they going to make the leap to hardware, to a physical presence in the real world? What do you think?
They partnered with Figure, so
Yeah.
so it's not available yet. But I think when will they make the leap is last week because they announced the partnership with Figure.
Well, I look at it this way. We and I talked to Beth a little bit about this before. It's like, so we're thinking about it and we're seeing how long it will take to implement. That means it's already been thought about and they're already implementing it, right? So so, if you're asking for like how many years down the line, 2, 3, when you first started seeing them. I mean, I've already seen, like, when it comes to fast food, right? We've already seen the fast food companies that are doing robotics for their food preparation, their cooking process, frying the fries, flipping the burgers, all those kinds of things. So we've already seen those robots implemented. So it's just going to be an escalation from here on out.
I'd like to point out that robotics has always required AI software inside it. So the hardware companies that are like Figure that are going after AI are partnering potentially with pure software plays like OpenAI. Why? Because AI has a much better and already complete model for natural conversational interactions for their robots, adding sort of the natural language interface to their hardware. Because up to this point, then they're not telling the robot what to do in English or whatever language. They're doing so through a console and with code. So there's a natural partnership there, but there's always a problem if with leaving your area of core competence if you ask OpenAI to start to build robots itself. So it's more natural, and Beth, you were making this point earlier, to just pursue a brand partnership where the capabilities of the two companies come together. Now, there are some areas where a partnership with a hardware company for an AI company would make a lot of sense. There is already a progression that we're watching, which is going towards assistance and assistance with agency in the digital realm. And then the robotics aspect brings in agency in the physical space. So in the home or in the workplace, now I have an AI that has access to a bunch of different hardware pieces that it can use to actuate, effect, and deliver some of the things that it's decided upon as an assistant. So that's all cool. I think another, and I think that answers your question, Robert.
Yeah,
maybe.
it does.
The other thing is that there's an increasing specialization of AI models. Like Claude just released their family of new Claude 3 models. And one of them is like ChatGPT-4, a very cognitive and reasoning kind of high-end model. I think it's called Opus. Claude Opus is the Claude 3 version that's like that. But at the same time, they have Claude Haiku, which is a very compact model that's limited. And in fact, it may not even be primarily a GPT, a transformer. It could be because it says that it's really good at high speed and sort of language translation type things, which really don't match up perfectly with transformer architecture. They're more about like recurrent neural networks, which are a serial process as opposed to a parallel process, which is what a GPT architecture does. Transformer does parallel processing, marries up with a GPU better because a GPU is a parallel processor. Many smaller cores together that can be fed all these things and operate simultaneously in parallel. Whereas a recurrent neural network actually operates more efficiently on a CPU, which is a smaller number but very high speed cores, and they process serially. Like they have to have the output from the last step in order to deliver the next step, whereas a GPU doesn't do that. So there's very sort of customized applications that you can imagine. And just imagine a hardware device that's a pure translator, doesn't have any other AI capabilities at all, but I carry it. It's a small device. All the AI is built into it right now. Well, there's an AI company that may have already built the language translation capabilities, but what they really want to have is a purpose-built piece of hardware that uses a recurrent neural network, not a transformer. I'm not going to ask it complex questions or ask it to do instructions. I'm just going to say, repeat what I just said in this language. And that's the instruction that I'm going to give it. So it's got to have natural language processing. All those things don't work particularly quickly on a GPU or on a GPT, a generative pre-trained transformer. So I see there being specialization in models, and there may well be hardware that's particularly well suited to one of those specialized models that'll make it faster and easier in a specific application like language translation.
All right. So now this is going to be the battle of the ChatGPT. I got smart fabric fitness wear. What do you got, Brian?
One of the ones that came up was exactly what Andy just said. Duolingo produces a hardware device that can not only help you translate languages, but helps you learn on the go. So that's one I have. So what I got more in here. What else you got, Beth?
All right. So the Fitness Smart Fabric has the electronics embedded. It is sponsored by Fitbit.
Okay.
It's Flexi Fit Mesh and Wear the Change fitness that fits you. And the advanced models could actually give you like posture vibration, like it could make the top of your shirt vibrate, or
like it.
like maybe you get like maybe the arm cuffs squeeze a little more when you're like like I need you to pay attention kind of stuff. I don't know.
I got one.
A little haptic feedback if you're in a office challenge with your coworkers and it lets you know that they've gotten up and started moving and you're still sitting at your desk. That would be cool.
Oh, race version, right? So it's tracking everybody else, and
Right.
it's like,
Right.
okay, you need to speed up just slightly.
Yeah. Go
To
ahead,
be
Jimmy, what you
outlawed
got?
soon at the next Olympics.
I got one Adobe paintbrush, like an actual paintbrush, so that you can paint on a smart canvas, and the smart canvas can, reproduce a digital copy if you want or anything like that. But yeah, combination paints, it will recognize the paints that you are putting on the brush as you apply them, and the different brush strokes and techniques on the canvas itself.
I like it. I actually had an Adobe one as well, but it was for smart glasses, and it was being able to take an architect's renderings and drawings and lay them over AR in real life. So they were able to quickly make edits and changes in a 3D thing. And it was saying that might be an Adobe idea as well. Kind of already out there, but again, they could partner with smart glass technology and then brand it as Adobe or something like that, which would be cool.
All right, I got one. There's a brand of sort of exofacial, exoskeletal kind of support called Stoko. And it's a bunch of little wires that are through a pair of pants, right? But very, very tight pants. And they have these attachments that you have to screw down in order to tighten them up. And they basically provide a lot of sort of fascia support to your leg. And this in skiing, they're being used because you don't have to use a big sort of clunky brace. You put on these things and they provide a lot of support. Now imagine a suit that you pull on like that, and that is doing analysis of your gait and your posture, and is providing through these actuatable little wires that are going through there. And when I say wire, I mean more like aircraft cables. These things they can tighten up and they can release. But it's giving you, as an elderly person, for example, is giving you cues to correct your posture and supporting you in the correct posture without taking away the necessary muscle load to stimulate your muscles and maintain muscle mass and so on. So I can see there being exoskeletal tools that are driven by AI that are helping people with disabilities, and also ultimately just for regular people, because it's been built into regular clothes that you slip on that look really sleek and fashionable, like Spanx. Spanx? What are they called?
Spanx.
You got them on and they're really helping you out. You look better and you can move better.
Gotcha.
That's a great idea. Nice. I mean, there's plenty of AI companies that I think it can deploy something like that. I have OpenAI's GPT-4 interactive desk. I like this idea. I'm not. And basically what it's saying is this is what GPT said. I didn't come up with this. So GPT-4 came up with this about itself, basically. It said, integrates GPT-4 AI directly into its surface, allowing users to write, draw, or ask questions with touch and voice commands. The desk could provide real-time assistance, feedback, and information, ideal for education, research, or creative work. I really like this idea. I really do. I like this idea. I like tactile things. I don't want everything just to be software. So I think there's a lot to be said, as much as I give shit to the Rabbit R1 and wherever that'll be and all that stuff. I get it. I get why you might want to have that extra thing on your desk. That's like a that was easy button type thing. So I like this idea of having a little bit more bells and whistles or a little something on the desk that enables me to be working here, but then also maybe to pick up a pen and scribble some notes right on my desk surface that then gets sent to, Notion AI or whatever, or back into ChatGPT for further explanation. So if I because I don't know about you guys, but I have a pad on my desk. And if that pad was integrated, sometimes I'm just jotting down notes because it's faster for me to scribble them down. But if they were being captured immediately and expanded upon and integrated with what was going on in the Zoom call, and ChatGPT was putting all of that together for me and then saying, here's a summary of your notes. Here's what everybody on the call just talked about. Here are your scribbled notes with an explanation. We've cleaned them up for you. And also here are the scribbled notes from the other 5 people who are on the call. So you collectively can do better as consultants and things like that. that would be very cool. That would be very
Mhm.
cool, and I could see that as
And
being
it
a hardware
translates,
feature that goes along with it.
and it takes your tasks that are, obviously needing to be
Right.
done based on the conversation and adds them to your calendar.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea. I think it's actually really cool, and I could
Gosh,
totally
we've
see
got
why
about
OpenAI
$10
would do it.
million ideas today.
It gave
Don't
me
worry, just contact us. We'll help you work through the ideas.
It gave me a similar one for kitchens, which I was like, maybe a little messy, but maybe maybe the technology is like that glass stovetop kind of tech.
Mm.
But the
Mhm.
idea was that one part of it would be a scale, and so you could measure things directly on your countertop. You could also have a
Mhm.
display so it
I
could
would love
show
that.
you what you were doing. Like it could display the recipe, but also like the GPT vision, right? Like you could put ingredients on top of it and say, this is what I've got. Walk me through doing this. And because it's part of your smart kitchen, it could then preheat when at the time when it should be preheated, right? So it's like a third of the way through your prep. Now this is preheated now.
I
These
love
sorts of
all of
things.
this. Matt. I
I
love
like
all
that.
of this. It should all exist. First of all, I measure all my food all the time because I track my macros, and it's not a pain in the neck. I just do it. But it would be great if it was more integrated into what was going on, especially if I could take my oats, and as I was pouring in, and then if I set my oats container back down, and it said, "Well, you're gonna need to buy more oats in 4 more days because
Yes.
you have 4 more days worth or 3 more days worth of oats left in there, measured out because you continuously put 60 grams of oats in your cereal bowl, whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It knows, and it's like, you do want to just add that to your shopping list because you're going to need
Yes.
it in 4 days,
Yeah,
And
but
also it says, but hey, the end of the month is coming up, so we're gonna push that, so you don't have to put it on your budget for this month. You can put it on the budget for next month.
So it's
Gotcha.
personalized.
If it
Right.
knew me
in my
that well,
kitchen,
that would be fantastic.
but in my kitchen, the rabbit already ordered the oats. So.
Oh my
I,
god!
And by
I,
the way,
I do
by the
I do
way,
have one
I hope
wacky
the
one.
rabbit's as good as you think it's
Look,
going to
but
be,
before
Andy.
you go
I
on,
really
just
do.
note that Lucas, the one that was on the screen, that Lucas was a
Yes.
perplexity specific thing. Well, that's what Rabbit is.
Yes.
Rabbit's already going to deliver that in partnership with Perplexity. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward. It's just a few weeks away. My Perplexity special hardware is coming.
Robert, do you have one coming too? I can't remember. Do you have an R1 coming?
I did not pull. I was gonna buy the humane AI pen. I was so close. It was in my cart, and I did not pull the trigger.
Did
I-
anybody
I-
else buy the rabbit as well? The R1?
Not yet, but you still can. I just think it comes in June, and I thought maybe we should see how Andy likes his
Oh,
before.
I'm going to wait for Andy on this one. Yeah, I'm letting Andy take the hit on this one.
There are
Right.
a number of videos now for the Humane AI pin that
Yeah.
are pretty compelling. And not only in terms of the novel user interface, the different gesture, directions and so on, and the multiple IOs that it represents, but just they're showing some use case examples that are, I think, really impressive.
Yeah.
And so I'm like you, Robert. I'm torn. I would really like to try the AI pin, and it's a little steep as price goes as well, $700, $600,
Yeah.
something like that. But
I think the issue with the pin is going to be the latency. I think it's
So-
just going to take too long. But anyway,
We
Yeah, go
are a
ahead, Beth.
growing AI show. So if you are someone who has access to these things and would like us to test them for you, we would love to test
Sure.
them.
Or we'll bring you on if you have one. Sure, why not? If it helps us demonstrate if you
We
have
would
the AI
interview
pin,
you.
you
I'm pretty
100%.
sure. I'm pretty sure they're listening. The people that make the human AI pen, and they want to give each one of us a free one.
Yep.
So
Yep.
go ahead
Let's
and do it.
manifest that.
But it's
Mhm.
just
Same-
making
same with
sure
early
we're not
access
giving
to all the
completely honest
services.
reviews. So don't give it to us thinking we're gonna be nice. So
Yeah,
Junmi,
that's right. Honest
what do you
reviews,
got?
yeah.
Junmi, you got one more?
My last wacky one, kind of out there, is Dropbox and AI powered logistics. So we talked about in other episodes where there's these AI companies that are handling transport of goods via air, land, and sea, and how they're using AI to maximize or optimize those things. Well, for the last mile, a company like Dropbox that's in digital storage and digital file transfer gets into the last mile courier service. So they go into the physical storage realm, and they deliver either really high security digital files that you don't want to send over an open network or even a secured internet connection or anything like that. And so, like a lot of stuff in creative agencies, they'll just send you a hard drive because the files are so large and they
I
need you to
think it's a
edit it in
horrible
like one
brand for that, though. I mean, because the last thing I want on the last mile is a dropped box.
box,
Yeah.
right? Well, there are others, every
I will
other
say, Jimmy,
Microsoft
you might have a
and
point with
Google has their own brand, but I figured Dropbox, that's their entire model is file storage. So
with quantum computing coming to where it is. You might have a really important point because encryption won't be a thing anymore, and so you
Yeah.
might actually have to physically deliver files again, going backwards. That could be an interesting play. Invest now.
That's a good show topic too. The whole idea of 256-bit encryption, all that, how that might go out the window. That's a good topic anyway to come back on.
Yeah.
I do have one last one, but I know we're out of time, but it's a quick one just because we haven't talked about this $2 trillion valuation company, NVIDIA. What could NVIDIA do if they were, now they're not, they are a hardware company, right? They make chips, but a lot of people think about what they're doing for AI. So maybe this is an asterisk one, but I did like this idea of the NVIDIA AI Art Studio and just the idea of using the high-powered NVIDIA chips to help like artists and studios and designers do like real-time renderings and changes within a studio, like a physical studio setting. So kind of an asterisk because NVIDIA already makes chips. That's not like they're already in the hardware game.
And
Obviously,
Brian,
that's where they started.
they also make AI.
Yeah, they also have
NVIDIA
an
has
LLM.
companies that's building models. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they
with $2
haven't
trillion,
taken
I
on
feel like they got the
yeah.
they got the oops money. They can throw $2 billion at this, and oops, it didn't work out. Kind of like Apple with their cars. That's another story.
That's a hell of an oops. Yeah.
Oops, we're not going to do that. All right, that's it. Unless anybody has one last one they wanted to get in. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, listen, this has been a fun show. Lots of fun ideas. Who knows where the next hardware innovations will come with, or whether they'll come from an AI software company. But thanks to Lucas. And yes, Lucas Crespo, who gave us the idea for this show, was really fun to see that. I love seeing people be super imaginative about that. We'll be back all week with all sorts of other shows. What shows do we have? Give me 1 second. 1 second. Tomorrow we're talking about AI in the Internet of Things and how AI is already impacting Internet IoTs, right? So that Wednesday we have the news. Thursday we're talking about AI in the future of work, and then Friday we have our bi-weekly recap show. So come back and hang out with us all week. And until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye.
aloha.